Hello? 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 Can you hear me? Are you there? I have no way of knowing if you can hear me. I guess you can see this. It's a light consisting of a wavelength of around 570 nanometers. I know that you will sense this through your eyes. You will presumably use this information to create some sort of quality or feeling that you describe as yellow. This might trigger all sorts of other associations that are both shared and peculiar to yourselves, such as a spring or summer morning, daffodils, political affiliations, cowardice, sickness, even a beach holiday. However, I don't know, and I cannot know, what the feeling of yellow that inspires these thoughts is like for you. Or if that feeling is similar to the feeling I get. Maybe your feeling of yellowness is similar to my feeling of blueness. Or perhaps some other emotion or sense. Perhaps you have synesthesia. Colour is both a deeply private, subjective experience and an objective, measurable experience. In Nottingham, in 2010, I recorded people's reactions to colours from the Volusia test, a personality test designed to use the objective qualities of colour to mine our subjective psychology. Here is a short, edited sample of the responses to one of the colours. Can you guess which?
Bright, warm, cheerful, happy, bold, deep.
It's an exciting colour, full of possibilities. It's a deep colour. It's not such an honest colour as the one diagonally opposited, but nevertheless it has integrity and character and a strength of character, I think.
Next, there is a recording of the musical notes that people associated with another particular colour in this series. Can you guess which colour? Many artists and scientists have tried to define the relationship between colour, perception and psychology. Newton paved the way for the objective measurement of colour through wavelengths, by splitting white light into the visible spectrum with the aid of a prism. Yet this does not describe the way in which we actually perceive colour. It doesn't describe the relationships and patterns of experience, or the feelings that are associated with the sensations of colour. Colour diagrams like those by Runge and Goethe come closest to defining the relationships between colours, but yet still do not give any clues as to our subjective, phenomenal experience of colour. The relationships between colour and psychology are complicated by the cultural associations, but for some of us the relationships with colour are complicated still further by physiological associations. I am colourblind. Here you can see an Ishihara plate, and within it there is a number. If you are colourblind, you may well struggle to find any number. The rest of you should see it clearly. I would tell you what it is, but I can't see it, and there's no use asking Paul. He can't either. The opposition between yellow and blue was highlighted by Goethe in his work on colour, due to the effects produced when looking at a black line through a prism. It is also significant for the most common form of colourblind vision, moderate red-green colourblindness. This is a colourblind spectrum I devised running from yellow to blue. Normally sighted people should see a pattern of vertical stripes through the whole spectrum. For colourblind people, this will be absent or limited only to a central region of the spectrum where the oppositions are strongest. Unfortunately, this effect is very sensitive to lighting conditions, so I cannot guarantee that it will work for all colourblind people in all conditions. But it does illustrate the idea of a red-green colourblind spectrum. This system is based on equal colour oppositions between red and green and blue and yellow. This clashes with the pairing of blue and orange as complementary pairs in most colour wheels, and shows that at least two systems of colour perception are working in the human mind. This work on colour has allowed me to develop a reduced palette featuring three carefully balanced primary colours that consequently produce three complementary pairs that all mix into the same universal brown. This provides a structured system to analyse the effects and phenomena that colour can produce. It is also a practical way of working with colour for a colourblind artist. Work based around the phenomena of colour echoes the installation and sculptural work of phenomenological artists such as Turrell and Eliasson. In these works, the objects are superseded by the phenomena in terms of their importance. So with the careful manipulation of light, dramatic illusions and effects can be created in the mind of the viewer. This image from the Kunstmuseum in Wolfsburg shows a ramp leading down to what appears to be a pinky purple screen. When we went to visit it, it took the gallery assistant to point out that the screen is actually a large void. These works rely on public art scenarios to present perception-defying illusions. The paintings of Ellsworth Kelly are similar in that they also rely on the relationship of the large coloured paintings to the white gallery space for their effect. Ellsworth Kelly is also notable for the single pieces made from multiple canvases and his odd-shaped canvases, something I'll come back to later. The op artists, such as Peter Sedgley and Bridget Riley, are also famous for using the perceptual effects of colour and form to make works. This is a photo of a spinning Sedgley painting, one of his many op art works. I have worked in a similar method using reverse perspective light boxes, inspired by Patrick Hughes's reverse perspective paintings. This work, produced for the Bath exhibition, neatly plays with the phenomena of spatial perception and intentionality. Intentionality is a psychological and philosophical term that describes how we have already decided or intended what we want to see when we look at an image, but that we do this so quickly that we don't realise we're doing it. The cube demonstrates this phenomenon by allowing you to control whether you intend the cube as a recessing cube or a projecting cube. In this piece, allowing yourself to move around the cube reinforces the illusion. Until, of course, you move outside of the parameters of the illusion and the effect is broken. I've also worked on visual illusions. This one uses a simple grid to produce an effect that causes the viewer to see fleeting glimpses of dark coloured dots on top of the white dots at the grid intersections. I have been very excited at the prospect of creating a painting that forces the viewer to see elements that exist entirely within their own minds. In effect, it allows me to paint directly inside the viewer's head. However, we should not get carried away with the bombastic nature of Turrell and Eliasson and the op art works and the nature of visual illusions. For painting is by nature and has always been a phenomenological art, where the objective qualities of the paint and the canvas are superseded by the visual effects produced on them. This is summed up neatly by this Uccello painting of a Masaccio. Here, Uccello, who is one of the founders of perspective, is using advanced 15th century geometry to give you the illusion of spatial recession. This is another example, but is slightly more abstract, where Jan Bregman de Vries has used perspective to map a potential space. The paintings of Johan Uglo have been an inspiration to me for a long time now, and I'm particularly interested in his use of colour alongside his use of perspective and detailed observation, something he shared with Giacometti and Coldstream. The contemporary German artist David Schnell also shares this interest in perspectival space and the phenomenon of colour. He approaches it, however, in a much more painterly fashion. For the exhibition, I've developed my own colour solids to explore the relationship with my perception of colour, in a sense searching for a logic. However, even at the most basic level, there are problems with these models. Even in 3 dimensions, the models are limited in terms of the range of relationships that they can express. Despite this, they are aesthetically pleasing, shining like little jewels with their shimmering gradations of colour and spectival illusion. Some of these models will make up motifs within a series of paintings for the exhibition, which will act in unison as a visual essay on colour. In addition, I have explored the parameters of a dotty visual illusion and worked on a range of geometrical relations to explore ways of including this illusion within a composition, as well as producing an emblem of sorts based on this illusion to act as an introduction to the themes of the exhibition. The work in the exhibition will be across a range of different surfaces. Works painted onto recycled glass from broken laptop screens encourage colour to be seen as a pure phenomenon, divorced from its associations with paint and pigment. Other works in the exhibition will use whited and bare canvas to emphasise the cognitive process of painting. Other works that will be made for the exhibition will have an element of facticity. They will show the geometrical and perspectival construction of the images in the finished piece. This will allow the viewer to see the illusion and also its construction, something which is echoed in the phenomenological work of Olafur Eliasson. Other pieces will use wood grain to act as a symbol for nature, referencing our paradoxical relationship to nature as both observers and also beings that are integrally involved with nature. Thank you for your time, and I'm very sorry that I'm going to miss all your presentations. If there are any questions, please do email me, and I hope you've enjoyed the presentation.